Ah, excellent. My long and terrible silence is broken, and I am made whole once more. Although it would seem that I do not have my arm, nor my face. But that's good enough for now, because the worst of it all is gone. It used to be that the Minecraft launcher required me to connect to the internet every time that I wished to change versions, and that seems to have recently been alleviated, and I am extremely pleased by this. In fact, when I had accidentally connected to the internet and uh, and used the official launcher, I lamented for a minute as I saw it loading. But since it loaded completely and I've been given a gift, then so too should I give a gift in return. Something else, something special that I've been working on. And perhaps not this project involving storage. That's for a different day when I've got the correct words. Instead, today can be something far more fun. Something that I don't need the correct words for, but I can instead just show you what I've done and then give you a chance to join me. Let's see. Excellent. Now, in a world with no blocks, it wouldn't be very impressive in the slightest. It's pretty much the exact same thing that I did once before. Except for I need to show you something because I'm not doing this in 1.12. In fact, if I were doing it in 1.12, I could do different tricks, which I might go and show. Now, inside of a new world, I could go ahead and just use Superflat and customize it. I could remove each of the layers down to 1, or by using the presets, I could enter in something that looks about like this, and it would give me a world that had no blocks in it whatsoever, and it was all extreme hills biome. And if I were doing this in 1.4, that would work perfectly. However, if I were doing this in like 1.10, I'd use this bottomless pit biome and use the void as the natural deterrent towards expanding further. However, because I want to start in 1.2, I can't do either of those, meaning that I've actually got myself stuck at needing to generate the entire world first and foremost before everything. Now, let me go ahead and fly, because the rest of it requires that I actually do fly. Because I'm not playing just yet, I'm just describing. Now, first of all, we get an almost ordinary starting island, except for we've got the option of being able to use structure data. Inside of the world file, I've given 2 potential level.dat files that you can use. You just need to delete one of them and choose whether you want to have perfect skies like this, or whether or not you want to have a dark world, where you'll see a distinct line when you're up high, and you'll see blue down below, and you'll not be able to see the other of the 2 celestial bodies. However, if you do go with that one, it's the default world generation setting, which allows you to actually use a witch hut. Now, speaking of a witch hut, I have made them inside of this world. Now, first of all, the stronghold, just as an endgame incentive for us all, if you choose to join me, is right over there, pretty much diagonally away from spawn. The island is practically pointing at it to give you a hint, because I can't necessarily say where an Eye of Ender is exactly going to go. Okay, the Eye of Ender doesn't actually do anything right now because this is the flat world. Now, directly south of spawn, past the desert island, is a very small strip. It is literally outside of the loaded area that is spawn. There's a piece of jungle, forest, taiga, and plains, just allowing that if there's a particular animal, such as a wolf or a cat or a horse, that you can't live without, that you can go and get it. Or in the case of this desert biome, a uh, a tan rabbit. Now, also just past the stronghold is a bit of a spoiler ahead, but it's an Easter egg, a little bit of Mushroom Island. Now, north of spawn, you'll end up finding that the biome eventually shifts into ice plains, and then we'll end up seeing some blocks, finally. And now we can not only see the stronghold, but we can also see the structures which I've created. This is a double bounding box for witches, and because of the way that spawning works, it means that this is the level at which you lay your spawn floors. They've been created correctly according to chunk rules, but perhaps not region rules, and they're definitely created as though they were in 1.8. And in addition to these, there's also two of them which are found out there. I'll make sure that it's written down somewhere. And they were the ones that would have naturally spawned in 1.6 and 1.8 respectively. And they're out there, and I made sure to doctor the one to make sure that it had the proper bounding box. Now, behind me was spawn, which means that over to our left is the stronghold, and then over to the right, I can't really see it, but there's more glass blocks over here somewhere. Somewhere down there. There they are. And these ones belong to an ocean monument. There should be a distance between these two objects equal to 128. You know, that this one is located around 50, negative 250, right around that ballpark area. And that realistically, between these structures, you know, that should leave plenty in the way of endgame incentive. However, I have to insist that those structures don't necessarily work when you've got a perfect sky like right now. You have to use the other level .dat or go in with an NBT editor, go in to the line which says flat and change it to instead say default. And that'll basically change the world type, which will also allow these structures to all work. Now, let's move on to the idea of what exactly item types are you given? Which, for that, I actually need to go over to the island again, if I can find it. Whoa, what just happened? Okay, enough rabbit hole of why did world spawn change. Instead of thinking about that, I need to go back to instead what are exactly the items that you're given inside of here. You're given 1 grass, 1 mycelium, you're also given 50 dirt, 30 sand, 10 of which are red, 26 clay, which I kind of expect you to make every color out of. You're also given a cactus, a sugar cane, a cocoa bean, each sapling, the lava, and the ice cube. You're also given a full structures bounding box worth of end portal room, as well as you'll find all around the map uh, 24 pieces of glass which are marking bounding boxes. I do believe that this should be everything that you need. There's also found on this map exactly 16 pieces of lava, which means that even if you don't have access to certain exploits, you should be able to figure out precisely where the other lava is and go there and get it for making your end portal. I mean your nether portal, so that you can get your blaze rods for the end portal, of course. Because of course you want to do that. And that this is the only way you can. So then, time for me to sign off on this. Give this upload to you. That way you can give a chance to play as well. And tomorrow, when the sun rises, I'll be playing as well, waiting for this sapling to grow, waiting for this grass to grow. And I must ask you, as a prerequisite to joining in, if you're joining in on this challenge with me, please refrain from digging anything until after the sapling has grown and you've at least built out your initial spawn platform, which, starting from the central block that you start on, is a 10 blocks outwards in all directions, and that's from the edge over here, counting as block number 1 towards the far edge, and then right here being block number, or actually I should say, and then block, right here being block number 1 for the entire other diagonal of 10 blocks. By doing this 20 by 20 block area, it guarantees that potentially, if you're in the right versions, I guess, and you happen to die, that you or or maybe it has something to do with falling into the void. No, don't fall in that rabbit hole again. Theoretically, if you're playing and you die, you should spawn back on that platform, because that 20 by 20 platform is a specialized structure inside of the game file where hostile mobs will not spawn. I don't know the Y value associated with it, but it's basically to say that the surface-most place in your world is safe, but only right there. And, that central-most area is, I cannot say it, loudly enough. It is right there. That is the center of your world. And this one is where stuff will appear when it comes back from the end dimension, which I kind of hope you would choose to go and do something in the end dimension. Now, enough of that. Let's get some rest. I hope you have a good night and sweet dreams.